and we've got Nicholas from West Virginia. Awesome. Got a lot of territory covered here, and we're going to get started. So for today's presenter, I am very honored to present Tim Ferry, who is pro racer and now also has a son, Evan Ferry, who's an on-track student. So that hasn't happened before, where we've had a parent who's also, well-known in our industry and highly respected as a pro back in his day. So Timmy, we're excited that you're here to share your story, because everybody that presents for us has something to share, just like we all have a story. And I know that our students are going to just be excited to hear yours. And I'm going to turn it over to Tasha, because I know that, Tasha might want to add to that. And Tasha is our operations coach at On Track, and she does many fantastic, phenomenal things for us. So Tasha, you can take it away.
Okay, so I'm excited to share, not only one of our On Track parents and families, but also a good personal family friend of my family's, Timmy Ferry and his family. I'll tell you a real quick story about how we got introduced to Timmy. Way back when Jordan was on 50s, we lived down in Florida, and we were at Dade City. And my husband was a big fan of Timmy, and we saw him at the track. Evan was practicing. We were practicing first time to the track. And my husband comes over and he says, "Oh my gosh, that's Timmy Ferry." And I'm like, "Who's Timmy Ferry?" Anyway, needless to say, he says, take a picture and pretend like we're standing next to each other. And so I took this picture, and he was all about it. And then I said, "Just go talk to him. You're so weird." And so he went and talked to him, and they've been crazy friends ever since. And our kids have grown up together. So we love their family, and, I feel like they love us too. But I'm going to stop talking and let you guys hear for yourself why we love Timmy so much. So Timmy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, cool. Thanks for introducing me. Yeah, obviously the Renfros are, well, we're going on over 10 years probably now since our kids been racing together. So I didn't realize that Evan was probably the first student on track that Dad raced before. So and we may end up having my younger one as he gets a little bit older. He's 10 now, so he may be jumping into the program here soon. So yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Okay, so we're gonna share some slides. Shelby's getting those put up right now, and then Timmy will let you go ahead and kind of just give us a backstory of how it all began, and then guys, we're going to give you a chance to ask some questions. So Timmy's going to tell us the backstory, and then there's some things he wants you guys to take away, but we also want you to have the time to ask some questions. So we'll let you know when we open that up. But here we go.
Perfect. So this is, well, I'm number 9 here. This is 92. So it was my last year racing Loretta Lynn's. Before there was podiums and all that. I rode for Team Green then. I think I won the last 2 championships there that year in the A class, and then moved on to pro racing. I think I was about 16 or 17 in that picture. And the other picture is just a picture of me and my dad from 1995. Probably at a Supercross. I'm assuming a Supercross is dark in the background. Obviously, he's excited. So, like most of us parents.
Now, Timmy, how was amateur racing different back then than it is nowadays?
I mean, for the most part, I feel like we're racing some of the same races. We have Freestone now, but we used to have Lake Whitney. Gatorback's still the same one. Loretta Lynn's has always been the biggest one in the summertime. I would say I feel like it's almost more competitive now, because there's more opportunity for riders to ride and train. Back when I was racing, we did just a lot of racing. That was it. we didn't really do a lot of training. We practiced a little bit in a field somewhere. Nobody had private tracks or facilities. So now when you go and you get 10th at a national, that rider is a full-time rider. He's on track or, whatnot. So it's tough. It's really, really tough right now, competition wise. Not to say it wasn't then, but the level is raised up. The riders, probably because of on track, because of the facilities, the coaches, everything's just escalated and evolved, which I think is good for the sport though.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the sport grow so much from way back when that one picture was taken of you winning Loretta's to now. And for you to still be in it with Evan, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, really Loretta's, when I think back about it, for me, it was, back then we had mopeds. So everybody cruising around their mopeds, went to the arcade. It's all the same things. At the end of the day, obviously we always want to win. But the landscape's the same. The track's real similar. The environment is the same. I'm getting to see my kids kind of enjoy, hanging out with their buddies, their friends, and then, going to the creek or doing whatever, kids do nowadays. And, just having a good time.
Awesome. I love hearing your stories. That's amazing. All righty. And now we have the 4 years at the Motocross Destinations. Could you kind of sum that up to what the Destinations are compared to a regular motocross race and why they're so important?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is you're racing for your country. So you take a lot of pride in that. As an American, we want the Americans to win the Motocross of Nations. So it was an honor thing. It wasn't a money thing. We actually spent more money to go do it than we didn't make any money. Kind of probably almost back to being an amateur, you're doing it for the love of it, versus it being a job. So it was an honor to be, obviously I'm in this one here. I'm with Villapoto and Carmichael. I did another one with James Stewart and Villapoto. Did one with Ryan Hughes and Ricky Carmichael as well. So I like this race. This was a race that I always wanted to win as a kid. Don't get me wrong, I love Supercross, but I was more of an outdoor rider, I felt like. So I just felt like this is like one of the highest honors as a motocrosser to reach this. You get 2 riders in the 450 class and 1 in the lights class. And I was lucky enough to be elected. I raced it 3 times, I think. I think I got picked 4, but they canceled it. So we ended up going kind of like this year. So huge honor to race for your country. Won it twice, the highest of the highs. And then the loss is probably the low. It was a rough feeling coming home from Europe, only getting a 2nd place, which is still huge, but we still wanted to win.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, racing with the whole country on your back. That's a huge deal right there. Here, how about we go over the picture at the top with you, Ricky Carmichael, and Trey Kennard. What's going on in that photo? I see you have a microphone. What's going on?
Well, Kennard's not in that one, so that is.
Or Villapoto, I am sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's Carmichael's on the left. He's in deep thought, obviously. Villapoto's right next to me. We're doing a press conference after, and we're getting to talk about our race and explain individually how our race went. We're open to the media at that moment. We're up on a stage, and so we're get to tell our story. I get to tell about, I think this day I fell in the first turn, 1 moto, came back to a 3rd. So we all got to kind of, tell our stories. And that one there was really special because we were at Budds Creek. So to win on home soil is pretty special. And that was Carmichael's last professional race. And obviously he's got the most wins, the most championships. Villapoto not far behind. So huge honor to be sitting next to those 2 guys. Probably some of the sport's biggest stars that I think we've seen. So.
Yes, that's a pretty important lineup right there. I mean, you've done it all. You've you've had all the experience with all these races. How much different is it to present yourself when your helmet comes off, all the races are done? How would you present yourself at the track after maybe a bad moto, not a great day?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are probably the most important days. I mean, it's always easy to smile and be happy when you win, but it's those days that, you know, don't go your way. That's kind of what I feel like shapes you as a person, as a rider. It's when everybody's eyes are on you to see how you react. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, I would sum it up as just try to be a pro, try to be a professional. You know, sometimes, you know, everybody gets heated. This is a competitive sport. If it wasn't, you know, hard and challenging, we'd probably be on something else. So your emotions run high. And I think with that said, though, you're not always going to be perfect. So, you know, be human. Don't worry about always, you know, saying the exact right thing. You know, say what comes natural, what's on your mind, but be a pro. Just remember, when you come in, if you act out, you know, like a child, your future team manager may be there, your sponsor, everybody. So very important when the helmet comes off. I feel like that's when you become the most marketable. The sport's had a lot of, you know, winners, I feel like, that maybe weren't marketable. And then we've had some guys that haven't won, you know, that much, and they sell more product than anybody. You know, to me, it comes to mind, Travis Pastrana. He's probably the most popular motocross rider of all time. A lot of people don't realize that, but, you know, he had a short stint in this, but his charisma and his outgoing personality to this day is what sells products. So, you know, I go back and I think about, you know, Jeremy McGrath. I always admired him, looked up to him, not because he had 72 wins, but he was very humble, very approachable, still to this day, just a normal person, no huge ego. So I kind of look at, you know, some of those guys as they're still here. I mean, Travis Pastrana is still doing rally cars, and he's a Red Bull athlete. He was Suzuki forever. Now he's over to KTM. Jeremy McGrath has been retired for 20 years or so, maybe roughly. He's still a spokesperson for Kawasaki. So there's a lot more to it than just racing. You know, Jeremy said, you know, if I have a good 10 years in racing motocross, then that's a great career. You got a long life after that. And it's good to see guys like him, even Villapoto, I see, and get back into a role with Yamaha and things like that. So look beyond just you know, today, the result. Try to be marketable, even as much as, you know, what you wear when you're around the track. If you're a team member, wear your team shirt. You know, wear it with pride, and you know, put your hat on. Make sure all those little things. It makes a big difference when Ryan Holiday or somebody or Nathan Ramsey are going to go pick a guy for their team. They want to have somebody that represents them very well, whether it's how they talk, it's how they look, you know, how they dressed. Doesn't have to be fancy. I even put a collared shirt on tonight, you know, to look a little more, you know, more proper. So yeah, when a helmet comes off, that's when I feel like you can really extend your career.
Yeah, you have to let everyone know what your personality is. You can't burn any bridges. You know, you have to keep your brand growing. And it's amazing to see how you've kept the brand growing even since, you know, 1997 when you got that championship to now. So
I know. That's why I asked you how old your dad was. He's about my age. So
yes.
But yeah, it does seem like a long time ago. But at the end of the day, it was in a Supercross stadium, same ones they're racing now, with triple jumps, whoops. You know, still all the same stuff. Like I said, the level of competition is really high right now, but it's the same thing, just much older.
Yes, and a little faster bikes maybe.
Yeah, a little faster bikes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything's elevated. Back when I raced, I think Carmichael might have been the first ones to kind of hire a coach or a trainer. Like, you know, now everybody from the time they're around 50s, you know, has somebody guiding them in the right direction. So like I said, everything's elevated a lot, but it's good. There's good information out there. There's, you can search the internet and find, anything you want out about me or anybody else that's out there. But I will say, I feel like word of mouth goes a long ways, especially in this industry. It's very small. We think it's very big, but at the end of the day, it's a very small industry.
Yes, everyone knows everyone. I bet a lot of y'all in this Zoom know each other without even knowing each other. It's crazy. It's a small world. Alrighty, and up next, we have the 2009 retirement. What came next? So, what happened after? We got you here with Trey Kennard. You were training Trey Kennard there for a while.
Yep.
How did that go? How was that?
Well, I mean, it was interesting. It was tough in the beginning to change roles, because I raced professional for 18 years, not including from 7 to 16 before I turned pro. So everything was just me and my racing. So I had to kind of switch roles and kind of be a mentor to Trey at the time. And I wouldn't say I guess I kind of lucked into it, but I think my career gave me the opportunity. I didn't know that he was looking for, a coach at the time. A mutual mechanic that we had. I had a mechanic, Mark, that was now working for Trey, and he said, "Hey, I think Trey could use some help." And so I went and met him, and then it just kind of evolved from there. And there's been a ton of riders since then. But yeah, I was with Trey from 2010 till he retired, and maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he just retired recently. I know that. That's such a big opportunity. How many people can say that they were one of the best and they trained some of the best and currently do now, winners make winners, I guess. We've all heard that one. I mean, are there any highlights of 2009? Did 2009 show you anything about what you wanted to do with your future?
No, actually, I didn't really know at the time, to be honest with you. I retired from racing at the end of 2009, and then I didn't actually meet Trey until May of 2010. So I was kind of actually doing a whole lot of nothing. I was kind of hanging out at home. We only had Evan at the time as our oldest, so I got the call randomly. I was still following the Supercross, but I was in Florida, so it was kind of removed from the racing scene a little bit, from where I was living at. So I wasn't in, say California or any of the hotbeds. So so I had a little period where I was just kind of a fan in a sense, and then that happened, and then next thing you know, I started going to races with him. He won that championship. I got very fortunate to get a rider like him as my first shot. Great guy. He was riding for Geico at the time, then went on to ride for Factory Honda. So he's a huge role model for any kid out there that may not know him. Some of the kids in here probably are young. Maybe they don't even know who Trey is. So look him up.
Yes, give that a quick Google when this webinar is done.
Yeah.
Who is Trey Kennard? Alrighty, and what comes after motocross? Timmy, you have 41.4 thousand followers on Instagram. That is not just a couple of people that you met in your small town. How do you represent yourself on Instagram? How do you present yourself as such a professional trainer, a dad, family? How do you balance all that and make it so professional?
Well, I would say you just put stuff on there that's positive. No negativity. You tag your right people. I have 41, honestly, probably without really kind of working at it. Like, I post a lot of stuff with just our kids and stuff, but everything's just positive. And I interact with them as well. Like last night I had some guys messaging me about some different dirt bikes that they had, and they're sending me pictures of it, stuff. So I'll use it for that. But I would say the kids nowadays they're probably even better than, say, me at it. So I think this is probably your resume, your blueprint. When I was racing, there was no Instagram. Actually, Instagram was coming around, right at the end. I remember I had a Twitter like the last year I raced. But the first thing I do when I have a rider that's interested in coming to train with us, or somebody says, hey, this kid's, looking for a sponsor, he's looking for this, I'll say, hey, send me his Instagram, I want to look him up. So, be careful what you put on there. Make sure it's positive. Make sure you're always posting. Make sure you're thanking the right people. It doesn't have to be so robotic. It can be just natural. I have 41. Probably could have more if I really worked at it a lot, but for the most part, I just use it to interact with, kind of old fans and show, our kids as well. So we have a business account that we promote a little bit. Know a lot of the facilities do. They promote all the riders on them, showing them doing drills and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I would say get somebody to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. With your Instagram, your social media. There's a lot of people. The other thing too is we do a lot. Like if there's people at the track taking photos, we get the photos from them so that we can promote ourselves. So, but make sure you look good. You look good in your pictures you post. You want to post, fun stuff, stuff that, shows your style, your form, your personality. And it's going to make those photographers also want to, take pictures of you even more. So, I think the Instagram is a very, very, important thing. I don't do a lot of Facebook. I don't have a personal Facebook. I know a lot of people do use Facebook to promote, but I feel like with the kids and stuff, this Instagram is the kind of the hot spot.
Yes, Instagram. Maybe Timmy, we can get you to make a TikTok, right? We can get you doing
a
TikTok dance.
TikToks. I'm waiting for this Instagram to be the old thing, but it still kind of stays around. I know the kids have the TikTok. I don't have the TikTok. I see some of the stuff and the kids are posting their dances and they're doing all their stuff, which is good. I think it's good to have that personality, as long as it's, appropriate. Remember, you're trying to sell, gear to kids, promote, goggles or helmets or your brand or your bike. So.
Yes. Everyone's their own little personal brand. You have your own personal brand. Evan, for instance, has his personal brand. Everyone is a personal brand, whether you have 41,000 followers or not. You have to represent yourself, make yourself look good. And I think Timmy is a very, very good example of that. Timmy.
Can I touch on something real quick?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I would say, when I ask somebody, hey, or where, what's your Instagram? I'm gonna look you up. Or hey, DM me on Instagram so I can check out your Instagram. I'm not necessarily concerned with how many followers you have. Okay. I'm more interested in, what you're posting, how you're representing yourself, because there's a lot of people out there that have millions of followers that, don't really represent, what this sport really needs. So, so don't think that the number means anything. It's more how you represent yourself. I'm not, some guys are just real popular. I mean, let's face it. Brian's done a really good job with Hayden Deegan stuff. He's up to 1 million right now. So, but they really, really work at it. But just because you have 1 million doesn't mean that the guy that only has 41 or whatever, is any less. So just look at what you're promoting and putting out there. And remember, when the sooner you can do it, and the more you can keep showing yourself, the more your followers will go up and your interaction as well. So, but don't worry I'm not concerned about the number. The guy that I had from England that messaged me this past week, I looked him up and I looked at all of his videos of him racing and riding in Europe because he wants to come race Supercross this year. I don't even know how many followers he had. So I'm not too concerned with that.
I mean, that makes me feel a whole lot better about not having 41,000 followers, right? So, I mean, it's all about the content. It's all about making yourself presentable, making yourself look like a genuine good person, maybe even if you're not. Fake it till you make it, right? Be positive and the other thing too is people are always they're gonna comment this or comment that, and I don't even look at it. I don't, if somebody comments something negative, I carry on, or sometimes I'll like it. I'm not concerned with that. You're always going to have
that, when you're a professional athlete or you're at the top of it, whatever you're at. So you're going to always have, some negative comments here and there, but I don't even, that doesn't faze me.
No, don't let those negative comments worry.
Yeah.
Don't let them worry you. Everyone gets them, I promise. Alrighty. And then here, let's go through these pictures. We have some pretty important pictures down here. We can go left to right, starting with you and Jalik. What's going on in that picture? It looks like we have a Minio's #1 plate. What's that relationship there?
Yeah, Jalik came and started training with us, I believe when he was 14, going on 15. So, and I don't know if he was with On Track yet or not, but he might have already been. But I remember him being on Track, and that was really important for me when he came into our program, because I'll just be honest with you, there was a time when he was kind of like, I don't know if I need to do school. So, but I actually made him do it. And I actually sent him home for 6 weeks and wouldn't let him train. So, so you can probably ask him at some point or whatever, but he started training with us for like a month or two. And then I found out he wasn't doing his schoolwork. So I said, no, you got to go home. So he went home, got his act together, and he ended up graduating. So yeah, I think he maybe ended up graduating, maybe potentially even a little early. So, I think that was an really important thing for him, because there's no guarantees you're going to be a professional, make tons of money and all that. So I wanted to make sure he could at some point go back to school if he needed to. He probably doesn't understand it now, because he's, at the height of his career. He's had his best season so far. So, but when he's 30, 40, 50 years old, he'll probably call me one day and say, hey, thanks for making me, go back to school. So, but yeah, he was with us from 14 till basically, like a year ago. So he went to Baker's Factory to train with the team over there. So good kid. I'm glad he's had a lot of success, graduated school, and now he's having a great career. So looking forward to some good things with him.
Jalik is also somebody, if y'all don't know who Jalik is, he is a On Track alumni, and he also has a very good social media brand for himself. He he has the content, he has the good personality, what we talked about before, what we just touched base on. A lot of your favorite riders are going to have a pretty good quote unquote resume, as Timmy said, on their social media, and he is a perfect example of one of them. Right in the middle, it looks like we have you and Evan at Monster Cup. Yep. That's crazy, Monster Cup right there, the Super Mini Class Championship. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it was that was his first, I think, major kind of title, I believe. So he just got the Rockstar ride October 1st, and then a few weeks later he won the Monster Cup. So yeah, he's had a great run with Husky since then, with Husqvarna since then. So I wish that race and I think that race will come back. That's a really neat race. I love the format of that race. I like how they let the Super Mini kids do it. Well, at the 50s, I believe they had 50 guys there too, the KTM guys. Super Mini, the All-Star, and then everybody rides, whether it's a 250, 450, they all ride one class. So yeah, really neat race. That race actually used to be held in the MGM Grand originally, a real small event that all the riders used to do, which was pretty cool. Back then it was $100,000 to win it. Now you have a shot at making $1 million. So I believe a couple of the riders have actually been able to kind of achieve that.
I mean, that's $1 million right there to win a race. I guess, Timmy, I'll see you next week and we'll start training. I guess we'll see y'all at Monster Cup. No, I wish, right? I mean, that's amazing, for you to be one of the top, and now your son's one of the top. And I mean, how many people here have seen Evan's resume, his social media, and his brand? You all have done an amazing job with that. I guess, merch. A lot of people are coming out with merch. I've seen a lot of kids around the track wearing a little Evan Ferry t-shirt. Yeah. So, I mean, that has to be amazing, to see your hard work paying off, just by people wearing it and supporting. The best thing you can do is support each other in this sport, especially with each other's brands. You can always support each other, give each other a little shout out. here and there. It's really important and it helps a lot. Alrighty, and then we have this little family photo. Timmy's a family man now, y'all. He's not racing every weekend. Timmy or Evan's the one racing, and you have little Beck and your wife Evie.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's from Monster Cup, possibly as well. So yeah, Beckett's starting to kind of pick the pace up a little bit, and yeah, Evan's done a really good job with the social media. He does a lot of it on his own. We have Shane Doyle that kind of helps us do a lot of stuff too. We have a network of people with, the photographers. Evan's got that outgoing personality. I actually really wasn't that outgoing as a kid. So Evan's got that personality. I posted a thing on my Instagram the other day of him dancing when he was in regular school. So he's got that charisma and that personality. And yeah, he's got the merch. I mean, it's cool because you start to kind of build a brand. You just start now. Like if you start in your young little kid, if you sell 5 shirts, that's great. I mean, you're going to sell at least 5. Your family's going to buy at least 5 to 10 of them, right? So, and there's some companies out there that will do all the printing and do it in the shipping and everything for you. So, but yeah, Evan's done a good job with his stuff. He's always posting. I say I'm always on. All of our riders that train with us, as soon as we, leave a track, we always have videos. Hey, go take this video. Hey, go take this video. So I'm kind of the video guy sometimes, but on our way home, I'm like, hey, get those videos up. So, because you want to show what you're doing, day to day, to promote your sponsors. So the sooner you can get that content, because I feel like if you wait a day or two, it's almost old news. Everybody's kind of on to the next thing. So yeah, if you got some clips of videos, hey, if you've fallen over in a turn or something, just post it. I think people love that kind of stuff. So, it's not, sometimes don't worry about like, having the coolest shot or this or that, just, get some stuff out there. Back to the Deegans. The Deegans do a great job. Every day they're posting stuff nonstop, promoting all their sponsors and stuff.
Yes. Just, have fun with it. That's what it's all about. Have fun with it before you can't bend your knees anymore because you're 50 some years old and you can't ride a dirt bike.
I'm not 50 yet.
No, I was not talking about you. I was not. Alrighty, now we have your present day life. What's a present day life for you? You have the training facility. You have what's going on for you?
Yeah, so we have 3 to 4 riders pretty much full time right now. So we're real small, but pretty much we're at the track every day. I mean, like any of these kids that are probably in here, on tracks give them the opportunity to be, able to go to the track during the day and work at, their leisure, do school work on the weekends if needed or whatever. So we're pretty much at the track almost every day of the week. We drove home from Oklahoma. We got home Monday night, and Tuesday afternoon we're back, doing something at the track. So it pretty much revolves around being in the dirt all the time. So, but it's fun. Yeah, we wouldn't change it.
Can't change it for anything.
No.
I can only imagine that's any industry, it just feels like you're go, 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 but you have to sit back and appreciate it sometimes and think about how lucky you are to be in the industry that you're in.
Yep.
And
for the kids that are in here listening, I think everybody wants to be, who's a Supercross champion? Cooper Webb. Everybody wants to be Cooper Webb, or Dylan Ferrandis. They want to win the championships. But everybody that's the team manager or the mechanic that's involved in all of the racing is a me or you or Andrea or Tasha. At some point, they're just involved in a sport. So there's all kinds of roles you can slide into. If you don't become the champion, you can be a team manager or mechanic, or there's a lot of opportunities out there to stay in the industry. Guarantee every mechanic out there right now was once a rider. They were, an aspiring pro or whatever, and they moved into being a mechanic. So, that's kind of where I think, the schooling thing was important to me. My parents actually would not let me. They made me go to regular school until I was on vacation.
Awesome. Here, give me 1 second. Let me fix my slides, y'all. We are having some technical difficulties.
Internet.
All right, it looks like we accidentally skipped a slide. I am so sorry, y'all. Alrighty, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. This is definitely a slide that I definitely want to touch base on. Could you explain what's going on in this? You know, it looks like there's a whole lot of kids. You got a bike. What's going on? I think Timmy is having some technical difficulties over on his end. Let's just give it 1 second to see if he reboots.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. I don't know about you, but I am really enjoying listening to Timmy's story. And these pictures are amazing. Timmy, I'm not sure if you can hear us. You can use the chat. Let us know. We can be patient.
I think we're back.
Yeah, yes, we hear you.
Okay, got my technical support crew here.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing. We got Evie over there fixing the Wi-Fi for you. Love that. Alrighty, I don't know what you heard last before we got all broken up there. But what's going on in these pictures? We got a lot of kids, we got a dirt bike, we got you standing there, looks like you're presenting. What's going on?
Well, I think I get elected to speak. So yeah, we're at I believe it's Evan or Beckett. I can't really even tell. This picture is small. It's called like a Great American Teach-In, I think is what they call it. No.
Did we lose them again?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Oh no, I think y'all are still on. We did not lose y'all.
So I'm just speaking to the kids. I bring my bike in, which this is me after I'm retired. So
I'm right there.
Okay. So just going to speak about basically being a professional, eating good, training, all the different things, traveling. So I did one of these. I've done a few of these actually. And then, and I've done some stuff where, like I said, I've read to some kids.
Alrighty, guys. So it looks like Timmy is still having some technical difficulties. If y'all would like, while we are waiting, I don't know what's going on with that. While we are waiting for his internet to come back, everyone can send their questions in the chat. So when we are done with this slide, we can jump right into questions so he can answer your questions. So if you send those in, your questions, we will call on you at the end for you to come off mute and ask your questions so Timmy can answer them. Just make sure you send them in. Anyone watching on Facebook, make sure you send them into the comments. And everyone in the Zoom, send them into the chat.
No, I don't want.
Timmy, can you hear us okay?
I think they are fully frozen right now. Y'all know how it goes with Wi-Fi. It's very wishy-washy.
It is. Well, I want to say that I'm really enjoying this, and it was great to see two of our alumni up there with Jalip Swall and Trey Kennard. So that's pretty cool. And Trey Kennard has been a presenter for us before. Landon Courier recently, both graduates from On Track School. So you've got a question coming in.
All right, it looks like he had to reboot his computer. Give me just 1 second. We are so sorry about this delay.
Can you hear her?
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Timmy?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, looks like you're back.
Okay, good.
So I think that last slide, Shelby, we were talking about, you're finishing telling us about, that little situation, and then we were going to open up for questions, Timmy. So if there's anything,
Perfect.
else you want to say, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, ask away, which I know one of these names in here already. So, ask. No question is silly by no means. So, ask it now.
Alrighty, so I actually have a question from the Instagram stories where everyone sent in their questions. The first one is, what advice do you have for young riders / athletes to grow their brand or attract sponsors? I know we've already touched base on that a lot, but what's some pinpoint advice that you would give them?
Well, I mean, I would say definitely your Instagram, and promoting, all positive things. Obviously results always work. But at the same time, I think go introduce yourself to the sponsors, find out who, who's out there, who runs, say, Fox or Twirly Designs or whoever it is. That way your face is known. Now, even my crazy friend Wes Kane, I think he's an asset to know. Get up there and introduce yourself to him. And then when you do get on that podium, he's like, oh man, that's the kid to come up there and talk to me. So I think those things they go a long way. So you need to become familiar, because even if you do win and you're not very popular, you may get looked over for sponsorships or rides or opportunities. So make your voice known, your face known.
Yes, and I promise that everyone else is just as nervous as you when you go up. So y'all, you can't be too afraid to talk to anyone, because I promise they'll talk back. Yeah,
I would say that goes as a whole. I think, even on the track, when you're on the gate, when you're sitting there and your heart rate's really high, don't think that the guy next to you doesn't feel the same way. He does. A lot of times as a kid or even a professional athlete, top level, you put like, oh man, I used to always think like James Stewart, man, he's not nervous at all. But he was always nervous. He said he was nervous. So, and I don't usually feel like I get like, I'm not really having fun unless I'm starting to get kind of nervous or getting out of my comfort zone. I think that kind of comes with, racing supercross and motocross. It's kind of our personality as a rider. So, get out there and shake people's hands and introduce yourself.
Amazing. That is amazing advice. Let's see. So let's answer some chat questions, shall we?
Okay.
Alrighty. So Colton Garden, if you would like to come off mute and ask your question, Timmy will answer.
Hi. What was it like to work with Steve Mathis? My dad really likes watching Pulp MX show, and he hears a lot of funny stories.
Oh my God.
That's pretty funny, actually. It was good. It was he builds the stories up a lot more on his radio show, but it was fun. He's actually become more popular than me. I go to races sometimes, and people walk up and ask for his autograph, and they just walk right past me, and he always laughs. So, he's got a very successful radio show. He went from being a mechanic. Well, he was an aspiring rider to being a mechanic to then being probably one of the biggest media guys there is. So funny guy, lot of great times, a lot of good stories.
Amazing. A lot of people here, I assume, have seen the Pulp show and know how crazy that can get. Up next we have Gage. Gage, if you'd like to come off mute, you can ask your question now.
I was wondering if you would tell any 11-year-old boy, it can be, doesn't matter if it's motocross, nothing, what would you tell him, like, by any advice?
I would say just stay focused and work very hard. Like, I like that. I've heard his name before. Do you guys you have the thing on your helmet?
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. So you're marketable. You've done something right. I know the name and I know the Mohawk. So, yeah, it really comes down to work ethic. I mean, no matter what you do, when you're at that, that track, be at the fence, studying, watching, don't be on your phone all the time. Like all those things make such a big difference. But I think work ethic is huge. And knowing your sport, study it. Obviously I know you're into motocross, but if you're into baseball, study it, watch the pro games, watch what people are doing, watch practices, YouTube. I think you can get a lot of information on YouTube. Watch old videos. Don't be afraid to, there's a bunch of the new motocross guys are even going back and watching, old, say Villapoto videos or James Stewart or whoever, so always kind of be watching and studying stuff.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. We have up next, we have Anthony Rhodes. Anthony, if you'd like to answer or ask your question, you may come off mute now.
Hello. How do you balance being a dad, but also a trainer for your son at the same time?
It's a very good question. It's very, very difficult. Originally he didn't used to train in our big group with our older guys because he was doing regular school. So until he went with On Track is when he actually started coming on and training during the day. So I'm probably maybe a little harder on him sometimes because he is my kid. So, but just try not to play any favoritism. Sometimes I feel like he kind of almost gets kind of the lesser of me. Because I don't want anybody to kind of think that, he's going to favor his kid. So I got to be very delicate with that, but it's tough because, and then I have my younger one that rides and he rides after school. Today he rode this afternoon. So it's a lot of work and it's a balancing act and I don't think we're doing perfect at it, but we're doing the best we can.
Tell the story about the day you were out at the track and Evan wasn't listening because he was like 12 or 13 and another trainer stepped in and asked if he could translate it and not be coming from dad.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Yes, you do.
So yeah, I mean, it's a good question though, because that's my biggest struggle, is balancing being a coach and a trainer and having a kid coming through. So, but we do the best we can, but like at the end of the day, like I'm only going to give you information, your teachers are only going to, give you so much. It's up to you to do the work, to stay focused and do it. So, I give the same information to every person that I come across, that trains with us, or advice, whatever advice, wherever you take it is going to be up to you. Some people take it, way up here and some just, you're okay with average. So, I was kind of never really okay with just being average. So, I did everything like, try to be like, perfect all out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. And up next, we have Brady Olsen. Brady, if you'd like to ask your question.
Did you want to go pro your whole life?
Yes, I did want to go pro my whole life. When I was a kid, I remember I had to wait a week to find out the results. But I always liked Rick Johnson. He was like kind of like one of my heroes growing up. But and for whatever reason, I always had in my mind, this is what I'm going to do. Like I had my mind set on it, from probably a young age, maybe say 10 or 11 years old. So some of you are starting a little bit earlier. The first few years I was just kind of having a good time, didn't know a lot about it. But yeah, that was always my goal, was to become a professional factory rider. Back then it was getting a factory ride. And that was kind of always my goal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing question. Alrighty. Up next, we have Miss Tasha. Tasha, if you'd like to ask your question.
Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give these kids for being nervous against their competition? You know, like whether it's at a motocross race, or we've got some kids that do dirt cars, BMX, you know, other things. What would you give, you know, kind of advice for them to line up against their competition?
Well, for me, it was always knowing that I did everything I could do by the time I got to the race, like I was prepared. And that put me at ease, you know, because there's no way to really trick the mind, you know, deep down, did I really do the work? Oh, did I, you know, I should have done this or I should have done that. So I always just, once I got the maturity and the organization and the support, like I just made sure that I did everything I could possibly do. And then that was, you know, because I was always nervous. You always fear that you're going to fail, you're not going to win the race. So my preparation was everything, as far as being as relaxed as possible. As you get older, and for me to do this interview, I'm still nervous to do this interview. So when I was a kid, I wouldn't hardly want to get up and read my book report in front of the class. I was scared to death to do that. So I'd rather go jump the triple all day long. So just as you get older, you become more relaxed, more mature. And the more times you do something, you replicate it, the more confident you get and the more relaxed you get.
That's a good point. You know, the book report reference is kind of like studying for a test, you know, just like if you're going to go out there and race, you got to do put the work in and prepare. And then when you get up there, you're hopefully not going to be as nervous because you're confident in the skills that you've prepared for. Same thing for a test, right? So everything kind of relates back to school. I don't know, kind of crazy thing, but yeah. Thanks, Timmy. Who's next, Shelby?
Up next, we have Miss Augusta. If you'd like to come off mute and ask your question.
Hi, Mr. Ferry. I know Evan has a lot of Instagram followers, but even more importantly, you've raised a fine young man and a good student. So thank you for that. But my question is sort of with the trainer and parent. Do you have certain rules or goals that Evan has to meet in order to go out and train and race every day?
Yeah, I mean, well, today he was supposed to be able to go play golf with his friends, but he didn't get his schoolwork done, so he didn't get to go play today. So, yeah, our household is the same. Not just school, but just in general, like, riding. I think we're not. I mean, the kids that are in here, they're not professionals. It's not their job yet. They still got responsibilities that are probably maybe more that are more important than, the sport that they're doing. So obviously school's one of them, and then, making sure, we get enough sleep, we're eating right. Like, me with my riders, we got a small group, I know when it's time to kind of like say, hey, you're done for the day. Like, you're already taking a lot of risks. It's a wild sport. So we make sure, we try to monitor him as much as possible. With Evan, he's in our house most of the times, pretty much always. So we know, okay, he's not feeling good. He's sick or he's this. So then we know kind of how to, back off of it. But yeah, he's got to get up in the morning. He's got to make his own breakfast. He's got to, get all of his stuff ready to go riding. And, we've even put some of the bike work on his plate too, to try to teach him some responsibility and also to learn the mechanics of the bike. Learn, if the chain's too tight or too loose, the consequence of that as well. So I feel like those really good riders didn't always have, mom or dad always working on their bike or a mechanic. They started, doing a lot of stuff on their own. So it doesn't have to be everything, but, start somewhere.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Awesome. These are some amazing questions. We are going to do 2 more questions. So Chase, you are up next. Chase, it looks like he may not be in the Zoom anymore. I can go ahead and ask his question. What would you say about learning ruts for someone who has only rode for 1 year?
For a Florida person, ruts are very tough. We learned that at Ponca last week. So yeah, ruts are the least amount of clutch you can use and the least amount of rear brake is the most important thing. Just trying to be really, really smooth and soft on the bike. You know, in the sand, you can kind of rush things and be really aggressive. But like this past week at Ponca, the track was really rough and really rutted. And if you rode the rear brake too much, the bike just didn't handle it very well. So I would say the smoother you can be, the better.
Amazing. And you can't be too scared of those ruts. You gotta trust them.
Yeah, and you gotta look ahead a little bit too. Try not to look straight down, because a lot of times you catch the sides. So always should kind of look where you're going.
Yes. Make sure you don't crash in those ruts. Alrighty, and up last we have Trip. Trip, if you'd like to ask your question.
Why was Rick Johnson your hero?
Well, I rode a Honda as a kid, and then back then he wore a Fox gear and was like the coolest gear at the time. And then one time he wore shorts over he wore like swimming trunks over his pants, and I had a race and he won or something. So I just like this style, you know, kind of that whole era, you know, that kind of goes back to like what I say about your brand and stuff. That intrigued me, that he was, you know, he had like cool hair. Like he kind of stood out from everybody else. He wasn't just, you know, your normal rider, and he won. So he was just real flashy.
Alrighty, those are some amazing questions, everyone. We are going to wrap this up. So if Andrea, if you would like to take this away.
Thank you, Shelby. You've done a great job hosting and asking questions. And Timmy, I love your story. I do want to say something about what you taught Jalik, because sometimes we really don't know the lessons we're teaching unless somebody shares that with us. And Jalik absolutely finished school because of you. And it was important to him. I ran into him at Loretta Lynn's recently, and his demeanor was different, right? He went from this, you know, I don't need school, I'm going to be pro, which we see a lot, you know, we see that a lot. And he did become responsible. And I always have a takeaway that I share with our team after one of these webinars. And I love that you said, go introduce yourself, put your collar on, everything you talked about, right? You were a privateer. I'm a mom of a privateer, you know, so my husband and I lived that journey. And it is so important to represent yourself that way. And you made a difference for Jalik. And I see the difference you're making with the kids that are, and adults and pros that are fortunate enough to train with you. So thank you for being such a good example in our sport.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it was. I was wondering if you had remembered that time, but yeah, it was. I mean, trust me. you know, when you're out, the only thing I could think about was I wanted to, you know, get to the pros and race, and I wanted that to be my career. You know, at the time I wasn't looking at school as my career, but now I am in my little era. You know, I was one of the only kids that really did graduate. So. You know, a lot of the kids that I raced with, and a lot of them that beat me, they skipped out on school and they went to work right away. But I kind of stuck it out, and I'm glad I did. I think it kind of teaches a lot. And then, you know, I feel like I have a little more confidence too later on. But yeah, I'm really happy that Jalik did that. Now, Jalik has really kind of come out of a shell the last few years. Even the last year or so, he's gotten, you know, even around me, he's gotten more comfortable. He's kind of like even standoffish to me in the beginning. So, but now he's gotten more confident. Yeah, I'm really happy he did that. You know, hopefully, knock on wood, he makes millions of dollars and never has to go to college, and he can retire or whatever. I don't know, who knows what he does, but at least he has, you know, has his education. And, you know, I think his family was happy too that he did that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know when you were going pro and you were pro and you stuck it out in school, I think that's really important. And whatever works for each person is fantastic. We've graduated a lot of, and Trey Kennard also graduated with us and you worked with him. So, and those who did not, like Jeff Emig, came back and graduated from On Track School. Cool. And Ricky Carmichael's enrolled.
Okay.
And we're still working on him.
Okay. Well, that's cool though. That's exciting. And I know your son and a little bit of his story, but remember me and most of these riders, they don't just all of a sudden just start off fast and get all the support. They're earning their rides and their help. And I raced 3 years as a privateer. And then I raced for Suzuki for 3 years. Before I went back to being a privateer again. And then I was a factory rider for a handful of 5 years. Then I was a privateer again, then back to factory. So, it doesn't always come, quick and easy. And you may lose it for a little bit, but, you just keep plugging away. And like I said, I normally back in my time, when you lose a factory ride, you never get another one. And I was able to do it 2 more times. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And it's paying back right now, and watching your family and watching Evan, it's fantastic. So thank you so much. We post these up on our website, so you'll be able to look back at what a phenomenal job you did. And Tasha, do you have anything else you want to add before we say goodbye to our community?
No, just thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you to everybody that joined us.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. And if anybody that's on here, I'm at all the races. So if anybody has a question, and I think at the same time too, maybe just come up here. Obviously I know Trip. I know the Mohawk Warrior now, Gage Dunham. So, but anybody else in there that, come introduce yourself to me. I think, you never know. I may not be your coach, but, you may I may reference you to, to a sponsor or a team or who knows what someday. So, introduce yourself and I'm sure I'll see you guys around.
Awesome. Thank you, Timmy.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.